welcome back to California Life Podcast. And today I'm delighted to introduce my great friend to all of you guys, Mr. Will Roberts. You might have seen Mr. Will in one of the recent films, Oppenheimer, and why Mr. Will is known for is because his character was the best developed. His scenes were the only one watchable. All the other scenes I slept through. And another thing, everyone knows about Chuck Norris. So when people ask how many push-ups does he do, the answer is all of them. Now when we ask Mr. Will, how many films or TV shows, projects did you do, the answer is all of them.
All of them. And then some.
Mr. Will, thank you for coming to our podcast. It's a pleasure.
No, it's always a pleasure to hang out with you because I appreciate your comments about my performance in Oppenheimer, and I'm hoping that this comes out after the Academy Awards, once we win them all. I don't want to sway anybody any certain direction, but I appreciate what you said. And you know what? You're right. Just getting going and doing it, and we talk about this all the time about getting things done. And my motto is, and it always has been, I don't let dust settle.
If you have any dust at all.
Well,
I don't think you do.
I do, but they're on the shelves and not on me. Because I move too much. As you know.
That is very true.
Yeah.
I don't think that you have any times or pieces of time when you don't move at all. It's either inside the head or outside in life.
Well, interesting you say that is that one of my other philosophies is that you always need to take a beat in life because a lot of times people are a little too impulsive and they don't think about it. And that, in my opinion, is kind of like how arguments are created. Arguments are created because people don't take the beat to think about the situation and then also put themselves in other people's feet or boots or shoes. And so they just go, yeah, this is what I think. And, you know, and I don't mean to go off on this subject too much, but in this day and age of internet and social media, and as I say, people are hooked on iPhonics, we tend to want to just give the answers even before people get done because I guess it's an ego thing. We want you to know that, oh, well, we understand what you're saying, but do you know what I think?
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of it's kind of a what we call a sticky wicket or a double-edged sword.
Right.
And so, anyway, I try to spend my time now a little bit older than I was when I was younger in making sure that the things I do make a decision to do are thought about.
Right.
And it's those moments where you don't say anything that I think are more golden to people, where you're, get this one, listening.
Exactly. I was going to say that. We are kind of transitioning, or we are already in that weird and a little bit peculiar fast food world, and it's all about talking and not about listening. And I do appreciate that skill that you have, and I think that we kind of share it.
You do. However, I will say, on that, I'm never at a loss for talking. We know that. Anyway, but
are you?
Yeah. Well, it's difficult sometimes. I'll tell you what, and you know this too as well as I do, is that when you've been doing things long enough, you tend to notice that people come to you and ask your opinion of things.
Right.
And it's difficult because I don't do one thing, neither do you, and we've made ourselves self-made, and we had to get our own marketing. We had to do our own business. We had to do our own sales. We had to do everything on our own because, I hate to tell you this, no one else is doing it for me. And when I say this, when it costs this, it's okay.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, it's beautiful. So the point is that it's difficult sometimes because I get in a group, and because I've traveled around the world and did all the different things I do, my skills, I can usually come up with a story without a doubt saying, oh yeah, I've been there. I've been here. Oh, that was great. I met these people. And I go, oh, I know those people. So it's the 7 things of Kevin Bacon, whatever they call it, the different connection points.
Right. Well, we connected with you a couple of years ago, and I'm grateful for that connection.
Me too.
And to me, the most important moment of connection was the understanding and the pursuit of understanding of the business.
Yeah.
What are the main things in the business that you've learned that you could share with our audience in terms of, as you mentioned, self-development in business, marketing, and how do you connect your knowledge to entertainment business, which you are heavily involved in?
So this is a 3-hour show?
I think of a week.
We're going to do what they call a 6-part miniseries. You know what, to sum it all up, because I get that question a lot, and you know, if you're on my Instagram, because I get a lot of people asking me questions, the hardest part is deciphering and qualifying the people asking me those questions and where they're at.
Right.
So you know what I mean by that is that my advice on the whole is that there's always a time when people want to give up.
Yeah.
And quite often, especially in this business, I talk about it all the time. People go, what do you think the key to success in this business is? And I go, well, you just have to keep doing it. And I have about 350 Facebook friends that I've worked with over the past 45 years in theater and TV and film. And to be honest with you, 2 of them, including me, are only doing this business. The rest have moved on to whatever. And I have to tell you that I've always made in my head, and I've said to myself, if I don't keep going, will I get to that point where I say, shoulda, coulda, woulda?
Right.
And so my advice to people is simply that you got to be there for the long haul. Mm-hmm. But more importantly, you got to love the game. And I know you're smiling because you love the game, and so do I. And sometimes I tell people, they go, what do you do every day? I go, I wake up early.
Right.
I'm on it. As much as I can be organized, because I didn't grow up organized, I grew up in a very dysfunctional family, I made myself and trained myself to be, if you don't know the term left brain, right brain, right. Left brain is logical, right brain is creative. I've trained myself to be, I'm very creative, but trained myself to be able to get things done. And really, although I know it exists, incremental goals, I'm shooting for the gold every day.
Right.
And all I can say is that don't give yourself a 10-year plan. I mean, a 10-year goal and say that's it. And if I don't make it, I'm going to go, I don't know, become a Starbucks barista. Mm-hmm. Because you just got to be in it to win it.
Right.
And if you don't really, right now, you can see that if you don't really think about what you're doing and get that feeling right here,
yeah.
Go work at Starbucks. Go work for someone else.
Right.
Because if you spend your days doing what you're doing and you get to be my age or your age or whatever, that age where you start going, what have I done with my life? And you can't sit back and go, I know exactly what I did.
Right.
And you know what? I created it. Then you should do something else. It's a hard thing in life and business. Life and business, to me, sort of the same. It's a hard thing to really have that dedication and wake up every day and do it. But again, what else are you waking up for? So I just say to you, you got to keep yourself going forward. And all I can say is that if you falter and you go, I don't want to do this anymore, take a beat and say to yourself, what can I see myself doing? Because I can't see myself doing anything but this.
Exactly.
And the other part about this is that I can't see myself not doing this and also affecting other people doing it. Mm-hmm. Because when I was younger, I just wanted to be famous, actor, and rich. I still do, and I will, an A-lister. But the more important thing now is that I have kids, and I have people that are talking to me and asking me, and sincerely, I'd love to see everybody succeed.
Right.
Not everybody will.
Yeah.
But I will do my best in my day to give that energy to them if they need it, and I have time, because we are the people that will teach the young kids, like in our Magic Academy.
Right.
These are the kids that are going to move forward. Mm-hmm. And I don't want to frighten anybody, but they're going to become eventually the people that make decisions in our world. We have to make sure that we're giving something to them that they can look back and go, what would they do? And am I following true to my heart?
Right.
Or am I just in my head or on my phone?
Right, right.
That was a long answer, sorry.
We have a few of these younger representatives right behind the cameras. I think Jocelyn is behind.
Yeah. I think the door,
she should join and listen.
Come on in.
Okay, so we are back, and
Yeah.
everyone is with us finally. Mr. Will is performing his magic behind my back, which happens a lot.
Yeah,
It happened this
Wow.
morning at the restaurant.
It did, and that was under the table, we call it,
Yeah, well, or in the bathroom.
in the bathroom. That part we won't be filming.
Well, maybe not today.
Not today.
Now, let's get back to one of the recent films which you have done, and my questions are not about the film, which you've made great, and the others probably didn't.
Yeah.
But the process of your preparation for the role, for the character. I know you dove into this work for 3 months or maybe more.
3 months, yeah.
How did that go? How did you plan this work, and your overall feeling about it?
Before I say that, I want to preface this by saying that when I was in school, I didn't do well, and as a matter of fact, I left school, and I knew that I loved learning, but unfortunately, the way I was being taught didn't work for me. But becoming an actor, and that's one of the reasons why I did leave education, I taught myself, and I have all these different skills. But what I want to tell you now is that as an actor, I've learned more as an actor now than I ever did in my schooling. And the reason why is that I had the passion myself. And as an actor, I'm what we call a method actor. So what I do is I delve into it so much, and I try to become it so much that I don't have to get on set or on stage and go, I'm that person.
Right.
I'm acting. Because one thing that's become very clear in the acting world recently, in my opinion, is that they don't want to hire an actor to act. They're not hiring you because you can be De Niro. They're hiring you because you can be Will Roberts, and they like what you did and you put into it. But by giving yourself the education, and what a great opportunity to learn about, in this case, General George C. Marshall,
Right.
one of the only 3 5-star generals in our history. My life is better because I understand who he was, the discipline behind it. My point is that as an actor, it's allowed me to be able to know more about history than almost some of the people that are out there saying that they are history buffs.
Right.
And that's because when you take it in as an actor and then you work through that lens and you execute it the right way and it comes off the right way, with me hearing comments from the people in Virginia at the George Marshall Foundation saying, you were George Marshall. And the librarian said, I know him. I've studied him for the last 25 years.
Right.
And I said, well, you know how much I appreciate that. And then to walk in a room with, 6 A-lister people, and they go, well, how did you feel? I'm like, I felt like I was at work, but I love my work.
Yeah.
And so I spent 3 months, whether it was listening to audio about him, speeches, or reading the books about him, or asking specific questions about why he would make the decision in that room. If you haven't seen the film, there's a scene in the middle of the film. It's a very pivotal scene. Matter of fact, if that scene didn't exist, we probably wouldn't have a movie, because it's where we decide whether or not to drop the A-bomb. Spoiler alert, we did.
Right.
But the point is that it's a room full of scientists, politicians, and military. And in this situation, they had to convince the military to be able to go, okay, we're going to do it. But the key point that I talk about a lot with George Marshall in that room is that George Marshall was a boots on the ground leader.
Right.
He really liked to have the troops on the field, to strategize, to be able to understand it, to take it, move it, so on and so on. Very chess piece oriented. But he also realized that in that time, in World War II, we had Pearl Harbor, we had the South Pacific, we were Germany, we had all these things that were in this big mass of Americans having to deal with, and they were tired of that. And so he took that in consideration, because he didn't want the technology thing to be the leader of this. But ultimately, I believe the decision that he made as being one of the heads is that we didn't want to lose any more boys. So And then it gave me a sense of, I knew how he would respond to what they threw me. Didn't matter. Because as Christopher Nolan said in the room, he said, all the rest of these people in here, you could care less, in essence, what he said. You can care less about what they're saying because they're trying to sell you on the bomb. They, however, whatever you say, are riveted to what you say because they want to make sure they're listening, and they can pick out things to be able to, sales.
Right.
What are the things, what are the objections? Mm-hmm. So that's what made it very rich, and I dare say this because I don't want my ego to be involved with this, what I'm about to say, but it's what made you look at that part of the film and go, you didn't look at me and go, here's Will, and then here's them. And he's going, oh yeah, you guys are awesome, and I think you're wonderful, and you're Cillian Murphy, and you're Matt Damon. They saw this. They went, what do we got? Mm-hmm. What are we doing? They saw the same level of performance, if not better, in some cases. I appreciate that. But my point is that being in life is much more important than pretending. And that's where you kind of get into the social media parts where, and I say this to the young people because look, as I look right now and seeing, 3 or 4 people on their phones, it's okay. I know we're riveting. But my point is that we are so consumed with the likes, the acknowledgments in life that we've gone from you and I going, I really appreciate you, to, can you just send me a like instead?
Well, I will, but you see the kids are listening.
I know. They are. It's the adults that are not listening. I'm kidding. It's all right. They've heard this already. But, so the point I'm trying to make in all of that is that, in regards to your question, is I've learned so much about history by being a professional actor because that's my job. If I'm playing someone as an actor, how gratifying it is that I know that Cillian Murphy getting his accolades for Robert C. Oppenheimer, Robert Downey Jr. for playing his role, and Matt Damon is playing Groves. These are things that as an actor, you go, wait a second, I'm not playing a makeup character. I'm playing a real person.
Right.
So even more difficult.
Yeah. You
can't just wing it. And I hate to say this, I'm sure the guy is not around, but the actor, the foundation, the George Marshall Foundation said to me, up until Oppenheimer, we were using Private Ryan, Saving Private Ryan. There's a scene in there with the gentleman and actor playing George Marshall.
Right.
And they said, after we saw you, he looks like a caricature of the general. And we're so glad that you're bringing the general back into light. It's an interesting thing to me as well because I do a one-man Will Rogers show.
Yeah.
And most people don't know who Will Rogers is. And, case in point, I was doing a show for 3,000 people one time in Oklahoma, of all places, and someone said, I have a question for you. And I said, yes. And they go, can you tell us about your wife Dale and your horse Trigger? Well, that's Roy Rogers.
Right.
And because Will Rogers was so far back, no one really remembers Will Rogers because even though Will Rogers was a very prominent figure in the 20s and 30s, you didn't have an event if Will didn't come there and give his homespun humor to it. But you don't know who he is. And so I made it my life's mission to run around the world bringing that philosophy of put yourself in other people's boots. Listen to what they're saying. Understand that everybody has a story. I can tell you my story and I'll go, it was so bad, poor is me. And then you'll go, well, here's my story. And I'll go, whoa, you make me look like I was on a merry-go-round. But the point is that these people are people in our history, and history does repeat itself. But if you don't do it the right way, you get repeated the bad parts.
Exactly.
So I've made it my life mission as an actor, as a human, to be able to get out there and tell the stories of George Marshall that people don't know because he created the Marshall Plan, which saved Europe after World War II. These are things that if we didn't have these people, if we didn't have you and I in 100 years, I promise you, they'll go, Yeah, you'll have a foundation named after you, or a statue, or whatever. If anything, you'll have a Starbucks drink named after you.
At least.
At least. Yeah. My point is that isn't that why we're here? I think it's about legacies and making sure that you have a leg to stand on as you pass it on to people, whether it's kids, family, or your audiences that listen to you.
Exactly. Very true. Now let's pivot from the film a little bit. Now we are in this beautiful location, which we call Zucchini's, and it's the oldest
magic shop in California. It's 45 years old. I think that's 105 in dog life. It is the oldest magic shop in California. Now that's brick and mortar.
Right.
And that it's a small magic shop that's been here in joke shop. I came in here 8 months ago. I'll launch into this.
You came back.
I came back. Sorry, yes. 44 years ago, this location was upstairs in a place called Oscar Hassenfelder's, which was the big place to hang out. Had a big 108-year-old merry-go-round, had arcades, and upstairs was the magic shop. It's called Zucchini's Tricks and Things because originally the owner, who's a wonderful friend of mine, Brian Whitehead, he created this based upon his stage name, Zucchini, the Great Zucchini, and he wound up doing magic shows and so on, but he created this brick and mortar magic shop and joke shop and had been doing it for 45 years. Consequently, 8 months ago, I took it over and decided that he had a lot of souvenirs as well.
Right.
I decided that I didn't want the souvenirs in here and I wanted to go back to the old school magic shop. So when I came in, there was stuff everywhere. It was, you had a big
flea
choice.
Market,
and there was so much space that in back of us, I created a magic theater.
Right.
And then we launched our first show, which is a one-man show, unlike any magic show, because most magic shows are, hey, pick a card, and then you pick a card and so on. And I don't mean to disregard any magic shows. I'm just saying that we wanted something that was more geared towards where we're at, which is the historic John Steinbeck's Cannery Row.
Right.
This is Doc Ricketts. It's all the, Doc Ricketts, the boys on the, the sardine factories and so on, all up and down here. The rich culture of the Monterey Peninsula, as you love and I love, and we're right off the ocean.
Right.
It's a great place. People visit it all the time, and 85% of the people that come in here that shop every day say, we came here when we were kids. We come here now with our kids. The grandparents say, I came here as I was younger. I bring so the demographic is huge because everybody loves magic. And we had set up this shop this way with the theater and my philosophy of educating people on how to do magic, down to the point where I will send you a video of whatever you got or any other trick you want, and you're connected here, I become your magic mentor.
Exactly. And yesterday we also filmed a pilot of our new series in which you are mentoring our kids and teaching them about magic and the show of magic.
Yeah.
How did you feel working with them? How did you feel about the whole thing that we filmed? You've seen Miss Jocelyn when we hosted episode 1 and 2 for the Life Academy.
Yes.
And you see her now.
Yes.
You saw Mr. Ian and Mr. Michael. How was your impression? How was your feel working with them?
Well, first of all, I have to commend you and give you kudos because I know from working with you what you've been doing with young folks, families, community, and I know that you have a very strong thread into that, as I do. And we've talked about this common thread, and I was very amazed and very happy. And when we originally talked about this, I had said, oh, absolutely, you provide me the families, because doing something like this...
Not in a human trafficking way.
Yeah, right. But providing the families this way, because we knew as a reality show, not scripted, that we were going to come into a situation, we didn't have a lot of time. We had to put something out, a good product out, and I needed to know that the people, not behind the camera, because you and your crew of awesome producers are amazing, but I knew that the people in front of the camera with me had to know how to hit their marks, how to do what they did. Consequently, quick story, my wife the other day said, I need you to take a picture. She's a professor. And I said, okay, great. And so I was aiming my GH5 camera and doing this and setting up the lights and everything. And I said to her, I go, okay, I need you to go left. And she went like this. And I went, not so much. I go down a little. And I go, no, sweetheart. And this is the training thing that they did absolutely great yesterday, is I'd say, or you'd say, go to the left, and they'd go like this. And they'd go, a little more. And it seems so minor, but those things take time in the production.
Right.
So in regards to how they did, first of all, I'm going to probably want to give them all a summer job because, we just have to figure out how to house you here on the Monterey Peninsula. You only need $25,000 a month. But it's a beautiful place.
Only that cheap?
Good. I'm going to get a busload of folks from you. But the fact is that they just did such an amazing job. And again, magic it's very difficult because when you talk about giving someone a job in sales or business, you look at their resume and you say, you've done a lot of business. You've done a lot of sales. You've done some speaking. That's wonderful. Now add a magic trick to it, where you have to not only be able to go, here's the trick, here's how it works. By the way, this is an awesome trick. And you're able to do it, but you have to be able to maneuver around it to a point where you can do things and not think about it.
Right.
This was one of the biggest hurdles I had when I did the Will Rogers thing, is that I had to become so good at my trick roping, got a couple world records, because I needed you to focus on what I was saying as I was doing this, and not you going, oh man, he's not really good at that, is he? Because if I was doing that and dropping and you would be more worried about what I was doing. The amazing thing that happened yesterday in our filming, all three of them, and consequently our winner Michael, who is the youngest of the crew, nothing saying to the older. You guys are all awesome. I've seen your Instagrams. They all did such an amazing job at the fact that I gave them the trick to do, and within a half an hour, they were already what I call ticket ready. They did it, and they added in their own pizzazz, which is really what magic's about. Magic is about, you of course learn the trick, and you have to get the technique involved, but it's also about, being able to then put your own spin to it.
Presentation. Yeah,
you all saw my show, so as you're looking at maybe some of this footage about the show that I did last night, I'm very clear about telling people, oh no, most of the stuff I'm doing in here I saw at the shop. Oh really? Oh, it was awesome. It was so much. It was fun and entertaining. My point in saying that is that, and what they did yesterday is, when you bring yourself to something, I don't care what you do, you can have the same skill set or less than someone, but you can be more entertaining because you're there, you're present, you're entertaining, you're doing fun stuff. You make a mistake, you go, so what? Here, boom, let's add and make things up. In my opinion, I've spent so many years doing improv, like doing balloon animals at restaurants, and I had to put myself into the fire. I did that on purpose. I didn't know what I was doing. I jumped into it. I had to become really good. I also had to become really good at doing the balloons at tables, because then I needed to make money. So I went from $1 a table sometimes to $20 a table, because I was not making fun of them. I was making fun with them. But I had to learn those skills, and these are skills that these kids did yesterday without even batting an eyelash. And that, in my opinion, is the key to success, is finding a way to be able to be so comfortable in your skin and what you do that if I decided to do this for a minute and a half, you'd still be entertained because I still have control.
Right.
And so they, by all means, really had I was so amazed by their performances.
Well, they're taking pictures.
They are
listening.
Look at that.
Which is fine. I love the happy faces.
Yeah, that's good.
Well, let's get all the kudos which you sent to me and send it to them into their bank. Let them grow.
Yeah.
We'll talk again after or maybe even before the Academy Awards, and I'm sure that you will have way more news to share.
I will.
And I know that you are also moving the shop to a different location, so you'll have more news about that as well?
Yeah, absolutely. We're kind of changing it to the Magic Wand Shop. So anybody seeing this in the current location of 711 Cannery Row, it's moving over across the street by the statue. But I would like to end, if you don't mind, with one little note that I would
Go
like
ahead.
to say. Anybody that is watching this, I just want to say that, you know, it's programming and it's the entertainment and excitement that, of course, Victor is bringing to this and all of his crew and people that I think is so very important that when people say, please share and subscribe, I'm not saying that because I want you to give them more likes and so they can monetize it, which is great as well. But more importantly, I think the message here is something that you should pass on. And the fact that it's not an accident that people like us are gathering together and we just, you know, accidentally found each other. I do believe in energies, not in a weird way, but or maybe in a weird way, depends on how you want to take it. But the point is that we are all here in our groups. I think it's important for us to find people that are like-minded, that feel what we do, that do what we do, because that is growth. And then when you put more people in it, I always believe that you can never be the strongest person at everything you do, that you have to put together a team. And I found my team, and I really appreciate you. I appreciate you. And all of you back there as well. And, of course, all the audience members that stayed through all this, because I know our attention spans are that of a gnat sometimes because of social media.
Right.
But I know we'll see each other soon.